Gene Luen Yang is an accomplished graphic novelist, cartoonist, and comic book writer. He's written for some of the biggest names in the business, including Marvel and DC, and has expanded the universe of the ever-popular Avatar: The Last Airbender franchise. He's even had hits of his own with American-born Chinese, which got its own live-action adaptation for Disney+, and the acclaimed young adult historical dual novel Boxers and Saints. He also just won 3 Eisner Awards last night for his graphic novel Lunar New Year Love Story. He's also been announced as the new writer for the latest run of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic, along with Eisner Award-winning artist Freddie E. Williams II. It's a franchise which may have deeper ties to his career beyond comic books, and he's here to talk with us today about his latest project. Gene, thank you for joining me here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So, it's very possible that your career might not have happened if it wasn't for a grant you received almost 30 years ago.
Absolutely.
Yang is a recipient of a grant from the Zarek Foundation, founded by TMNT co-creator Peter Laird.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
First of all, can you give us some background on what the Zarek Foundation is/was?
Yeah, the Zarek Foundation was founded by Peter Laird, and for years they would actually give out grants twice a year to self-publishing cartoonists, and they would do this because TMNT started as a self-published comic book, so it was a way for Peter to give back to his roots. I applied for it when I was just starting off. This was the 90s. I still remember finding out that I got it. It was amazing. It was like one of the best moments of my life, to find out I was going to get $3,000 of Turtles money to publish my own comic. It was awesome.
And now, writing for TMNT all these years later, do you feel that sort of brings your career full circle?
It is 100% full circle. Yeah, I mean, Turtles have been in my life for a very long time. I remember being a kid and playing with the toys and watching the cartoon with my brother. I remember making up our own stories with those toys. I remember encountering the early Eastman and Laird comics, those gritty, black and white comics at a friend's house, and just kind of being blown away by the art style and the stories, and now to get to be a part of this universe is incredible.
So what can you tell us about your upcoming run on TMNT?
Well, I'm following Jason Aaron, who is one of the most celebrated comic book writers ever, and it's a little bit intimidating, but it's also a deep honor. He's setting some things up in his arc that we're going to continue. So, for example, at the very beginning of his arc, the brothers were all separated, and a lot of his arc is about them being reconciled. So what we're going to start off with is with the brothers being together for the first time in a long time. And I think that's how we think of them, right? We think of the 4 brothers together, but because of what Jason Aaron set up, I'm hoping that their togetherness will feel a little bit deeper, a little bit more heartfelt, because it was earned. So we're going to start off there. We're also going to introduce a brand new villain.
Wanted to ask about that.
He's an assassin, a mysterious masked assassin by the name of Ujigami.
Right.
He has ties into Japanese folklore, and he's really going to challenge the turtles morally.
How would you describe the tone of your TMNT? Because over the years, it's run everything from dark and gritty to more lighthearted and goofy.
Yeah, I really take a lot of inspiration from those early Eastman and Laird comics. I think if you look at TMNT #1, the very first issue, it was gritty in this like Frank Miller-esque way. I thought Jason really captured that in his run. But then if you keep reading by issue 2 and 3, you get a little bit of goofiness. The grittiness is still there, but there's a lot of fun and a lot of unexpected ideas. And that's what I'm hoping for in our run. Freddie and I are going to try to keep some of the grittiness that Jason set up, but also add in some of the fun and the goofiness of those early issues.
Do you know when fans can expect your first issue to hit shelves?
December.
In December?
It'll be out in December, yeah.
Very exciting.
Issue number 13.
All right, I want to also take a quick look back at your prolific career, starting with Avatar: The Last Airbender. So the franchise is celebrating its 20th anniversary this year, and you got to write some of the first adventures of Team Avatar set outside the show, beginning with the graphic novel, The Promise. So what was that experience like?
That was incredible. I was a huge fan of the show. I was a fan of the show when I was watching it. Just like everybody else, when the show ended, I was screaming things like what happened to Zuko's mom. And then a few years later, I was approached by Dark Horse Comics, who had the license to do the Avatar comics, and they asked me to write those comics. They paired me up with Gurihiru. They're among the best in the business, an art team based out of Japan. And we got to answer some of those questions. Like, for example, we got to answer what happened to Zuko's mom in a graphic novel called The Search.
Today, it feels like Avatar is bigger than ever. Is there any chance you could return to that universe?
There's no immediate plans. I mean, I'm still in that universe as a fan, right? I'm still in that universe as a fan.
One of your first big hits was your autobiographical graphic novel, American-born Chinese, which you also illustrated.
Yeah, that's right.
What was your reaction to the overwhelmingly positive response to that?
It was more than I expected. I came into comics in the 90s, and for those of us who remember it, it was kind of a dark time. Comic-Con did not look like this. It was like you could still buy tickets at the door because there were so few people who wanted to get in, right? And I remember coming to my first Comic-Con in 1996, listening to my favorite publishers and authors and artists talking about how we were about to see the death of the American comic book. And then jump forward 10 years later when American Born Chinese came out, I think tides had turned for a whole bunch of different reasons. And the support that American Born Chinese got in part was because of that tide turning. And it really paved the way for me to be a full-time creator that I am today.
What was your involvement in the Disney Plus series?
Oh, I was an executive producer. I did not know what that meant before I signed up.
Well,
now, after I started doing it, I realized it could mean a whole bunch of different things, right?
Yeah.
And for me, what that meant was I became really good friends with Kelvin Yu, the showrunner, and he would use me as a sounding board.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, thank you, Gene, so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm a huge Turtles fan. I cannot wait to read the new issues. And good luck with everything.
Thank you. I'm super excited. Super excited about the Turtles.
The new issue 13 hits your local comic shop on December 10th. For more from San Diego Comic-Con, keep it right here on IGN.